Monday night, welfare protesters clash with police inside a state unemployment office, and a fierce gun battle erupts on the streets of North Philadelphia. But the big story in Action News tonight is the end of a messy and difficult day for drivers. It has been a day of wet snow, sleet, and freezing rain, with more snow up north, like here in Doylestown, more sleet down south, like South Jersey and Delaware, with Philadelphia caught right in the middle. Now, let's go to a live picture of the Schuylkill Expressway. Travel conditions are just now improving significantly as the worst of the precipitation seems to be moving out. But some areas in the northern and western suburbs did get some rough driving conditions today. Let's get the facts and figures from Dave Roberts and AccuWeather. David?
And we'll go to Action Radar, Jim, and we'll show you the system that we have been following for at least 24 hours now. There you see it kind of exploding as it moves quickly into our area, and quickly, and it's in the process of moving away. That's good for that. Change it over. Action Radar will show you the mix and show you exactly where we are with this system. You see the snow will be reflected to our North Philadelphia in that band there of blue, indicating the mix of snow and rain and sleet. And then from Wilmington, Atlantic City on south, that's all the rain. That's due to move in our area. So the call from AccuWeather is we have wet snow, rain, and sleet until about 7 o'clock this evening, so the messy mix continues. And then after that, from 7 until midnight, we're expecting it to taper off to just showers and drizzle. The overnight low is significant 33 degrees, as we expect the temperatures to stay a little bit above freezing, and that's good news. Milder weather is on the way come tomorrow. We'll talk more about that, Jim, when we come back in just a few minutes.
All right, David, thank you. In other news at this hour,
you can pick them up. You don't have to chop it up like this, all to pieces. Then you dip it. V-A-N, decamps. I usually eat 4 or 5.
Vandicamps, the fish kids like to eat.
You should get your mom to get some.
1, 2, 3.
Maxwell House introduces a coffee crafted to be remarkably smooth. New Master Blend. A distinctly American blend. It's always good to the last drop.
Ahead on WeatherScope, cleanup begins in Arkansas, but potential for severe weather moves towards the Carolinas and Virginia. Updates coming up on WeatherScope after your local forecast.
This is your local forecast. Weather information you can plan on, only on the Weather Channel.
This edition of WeatherScope is sponsored by Long John Silver's, America's place to go for amazing shrimp and fish.
on WeatherScope. The storm system that brought flooding rains to the Ohio Valley now threatens the Northeast with a dose of winter. And as cleanup of the weekend's massive tornado damage moves into high gear, the potential arises for more severe weather in the South. Those stories plus in-depth forecast and analysis in this edition of WeatherScope.
Winter weather returns to the Northeast tonight, while much of the South continues to clean up from the weekend's deadly and destructive storms. Good evening, I'm Dan Atkinson. Rush hour is probably getting pretty messy across the Northeast right now, the result of snow and a wintry mix falling across the region. Snow began falling lightly in New York City this afternoon, and these are the scenes in downtown Manhattan. You can just see the sky starting to gray behind the skyscrapers. Many people pulled out their umbrellas to ward off the heavy wet flakes. The snow picked up significantly as the afternoon wore on. Some accumulation is reported on grassy surfaces. Outside of the city, we've had reports of snow-covered roads. And the reason for the snow, we have high pressure to the north of you there in New York, high pressure pumping the cold air down into the northeastern portion of the U.S. You're considerably colder now than you were yesterday at this time. And the low pressure that has been producing the stormy weather back over the lower Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley has now begun to make its way on toward the northeast. Here's that low here, and it's pulled up a lot of rain, Gulf moisture, and also beginning to pull in now moisture from the Atlantic Ocean, resulting in a cold rain during these recent hours over the areas like Washington and Baltimore. Snow, as you see, over much of Pennsylvania, getting into the Hudson Valley and southern New England. Here's a look at radar. And as you can see here, the broad area of snow is light snow for the most part, although over time there could be some hefty accumulations, perhaps better than 6 inches in an area from the Hudson Valley on across portions of Connecticut into Rhode Island. Some of the hills would, of course, get the higher amounts of snow there. Philadelphia has been right along the rain-snow line off and on during the day. You've continued hour by hour to have a mix of precipitation, and as you get further to the south, it's been a cold rain falling in Washington and Baltimore, and the rain is just about to leave you behind. There may still be a few spotty showers to pass over you before this precipitation moves on off toward the east. Here is a look at actually want to remind you that the cold weather, the weather in the Northeast is quite a change from what you have had. In New York right now, for instance, you are 33 degrees, and that puts you 26 degrees colder than you were yesterday at this time. So quite a dramatic change from the weather that you had 24 hours ago. Well, we want to take a look now at another area where some heavy rain has been causing some flooding problems. Parts of West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky are underwater. We have a report on the flooding beginning in Manchester, Ohio, which is located on the Ohio River.
It's a disaster here. Sherry Lair has never seen the water come this close in the 11 years she's lived here, so she's not taking any chances. She and her family are on their way out.
Usually we can wait it out and get surrounded, but what they're calling for, it'll get us.
It's already gotten to some businesses. They didn't heed the warning that the Ohio River would overflow its banks, turning the town of Manchester into the River of Manchester by this morning.
We're trying to get ahead of the water here. Don't look like we're going to make it.
Flooding isn't even the biggest concern yet. Mud is sliding down hillsides on tops of homes and across US 52, blocking the main road in and out of Manchester. It's destruction this town wasn't totally prepared for. Extra cleanup crews are brought in to clear the road just in time for the water to block it. The community says there's no way to prepare for such a disaster. It's just a matter of taking as much as they can with them as they escape.
All that stuff can be replaced, but most of the stuff I'm taking can't. Like my animals.
They're off, like almost everyone else, to higher ground.
Unfortunate that all that flooding has been a problem, but good news in the report today from the southeast, where there was the potential for some flooding. Flood watches were in effect, for instance, from North Georgia all the way up into southeastern portions